You, beautiful Monday people. How is it going today? Cool. So today I'm going to speak to you about conflict, about how you deal with it in your life, and if you deal with it in a way that really helps your anxiety, or if you deal in a way that reinforces your anxiety and makes you feel worse in your life. Now, when I was a kid, when I was much younger than myself, I really dealt with conflict in only one way, which was avoid it. I avoided it at all costs. And then I went through a journey, you could say, where I moved away from avoiding it to feeling like I had to confront it. And that if I avoided it, I felt like a wimp. I felt like cowardly. I felt insecure. So I thought, boom, I'm gonna move towards this conflict and be aggressive towards it. But frustratingly, what I found is in my life is that both things reinforce anxiety. Yeah. So dealing with conflict by avoiding it reinforces in your brain that if you did enter that situation, it's terrible, it's awful, and it's going to lead to some violence, and you're going to get hurt, so your brain releases more stress hormones. And on the flip side, if you deal with it by aggression, well, aggression is again a defensive response, isn't it? So if you're aggressive, or if you're angry, if you're frustrated, it then reinforces your anxiety from that perspective as well. So both sides of the pattern don't work. So the other day, walking through the park with my son who's 4 years old, he loves little doggies, and he went up to a dog and stroked it and says hi to the dogs. And he always walks up and he says to the parents, owners of the dog, he says, hello, I'm Logan. Is your dog friendly? Can I stroke your dog? And they say yes, or they say no, and they say no, it's not friendly, or whatever. And he went up to a lady the other day who was walking with her partner or her husband, and he said, hey, I'm Logan, can I stroke your dog? And she screamed back at him really, really loudly, no, like really, really over the top aggressively, for like a lady in her 40s to scream at like a tiny 4-year-old in that type of way. And it made me think in that moment that, how should I respond? So I could respond, by being weak and fearful, like, in terms of just avoiding it because it's conflicting, but I don't feel those fears in that way today. So my instinct, as I should have screamed back at her really loudly, there's no reason to fucking shout at a small child. And then maybe squared up to her or a partner and, put them in their place in that type of way. That was my instinct to do that. But but realistically, there's with that, there's a massive concern, isn't there? There's massive concern because firstly, best case scenario, I make them feel awful. And now, even if they did shout at him and make him feel upset, it's me making him feel awful, really making the world a better place. Maybe she's got mental health problems. Maybe maybe someone in her family's died. Maybe she just literally cannot control herself. And if she cannot, she's going to have all kinds of pain in her life that I don't need to add pain to her and make her life any worse. So my perspective is that firstly it's a bit harsh, but never react to crazy people. Never join their path. Never buy into it. Never react to it, because it's a fucking lose-lose situation. So what I take into account, what I focus on, is taking care of my brain, my health, my nervous system first. So I know 100% that buying into reactive emotions, anger, frustration, reactivity, buying into the who's going to win this argument type of game, the me trying to put you down, you trying to apologise, those types of things, there is no winner in that situation. So I looked at it from a different perspective. Luckily, I didn't scream back at her, and I spoke to my son and said, son, what can you learn from this? What can you learn from this? And he said, some people are nice, some people aren't nice. And I thought that's a good philosophy to have, and it didn't affect his confidence. He ran up to the next person and spoke to them and said, hey, I'm Logan, can I stroke your little doggy? And they said yes, and he continued. So it didn't have a lasting negative impact on him. In fact, it was a positive experience for him, because rather than someone stimulating his nervous system in that way and then him carrying away and then being scared and not speaking to people again, which would have a negative effect on his life, he didn't. So he took the hit and he still moved forward. So it was a positive experience, even though it wasn't necessarily a nice thing to happen. So that's the way I look at it, where every single conflict can be a positive experience for you, for your mental health, for the choices that you make in your life, or it can be an experience which just reinforces reactivity. So yesterday in Sainsbury's, a car was about to go over a pedestrian crossing, and there was a guy there, like quite a well-off guy. He drove a really nice car with his wife, because I saw them get out of the car there in front of me, and they were about to cross the crossing, and he kind of drove across it because they hesitated, and it wasn't really him cutting them up in that type of way. But he got his hand and he smashed it as hard as he could against their window, nearly breaking their window, yeah? And then screamed really, like a guy in his 50s or 60s, screamed really, really aggressively, like into the car. And, obviously made the people feel awful inside, and, potentially could have ended in a really violent altercation. But, he chose to deal with it in that way, which is fine. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. He chose to deal with it in that way. But realistically, what's he done for himself? Well, firstly, it means that every single conflict in his life, he's going to deal with in an aggressive way like that, yeah? Conflict with his partner, conflict with people, conflict with his children. And it means that he's not in control. Right, so if any stimuli, can say, he's walking along, calm, feeling good in himself, one thing happens to him, and, he overreacts to it, overreacts in that kind of way, when realistically there was no danger there. There was no positive benefit to do that. But what's the benefit for him psychologically? Well, psychologically, he gets to feel strong in himself, he gets to feel masculine in himself, he gets to feel aggressive, gets to feel bold in himself, he gets to feel these type of feelings, which is why he did it, yeah. But simultaneously, it's not good for you. And he's a man in his 50s. Do you know what I mean? Realistically, when you get older, I'm 38 now, my body's not strong. I'm not as good at fighting, if I had to defense. So when I was in my 20s, when I used to be in the Marines when I was younger, yeah, my body's much, much weaker. It's not at all like that. So a guy in his 50s, having that kind of arrogance on himself is fine, but then every single day someone is acting like that, walking into situations, people overreact, and it ends in a terrible way. People end up in jail, people end up, hurt, people end up in all kinds of different ways. But, it's not the right approach to take in life. Now, I'd say most of the clients, most of the people that come and see me work, realistically respond in those two different ways. So either their anxiety affects them in a certain way, that they feel over-aggressive, overreactive, yep, and they feel they have to react. Every situation is a battle, and they have to win in that kind of way, yeah? Or they just feel really, really worried and avoid and withdraw from every situation. If those situations ever come up, they just feel horrible in themselves because they feel weak, they feel scared, they feel frightened, and it just doesn't affect them in a positive kind of way. Whereas my path is the middle path. I don't want to hurt people, I don't want to upset other people, I don't want to make other people's lives any worse than they already are. So when I meet reactive people in that type of way, I'm not going to buy into their shit. I'm not going to join their reaction. I'm not going to, because there is no positive benefit to be achieved by it in any way, shape or form. And last note, so Logan saw the lady and the guy a little bit later in the park, and they walked past him, like quite close to him, and he shouted back at them, "Hey, silly lady, go away." Which I found funny, hey? So Logan chose the aggressive approach, but he's only 4, he's got lots of time to learn. Cool, so just think about in your lives, guys, how you innately, instinctively deal with conflict in your life, in your relationships, in your businesses, in any area of your life, or just with random people, that you meet on the street in those types of situations, and how it affects you. So you're a person that naturally avoids things, naturally withdraws from things, naturally avoids conflict at all costs and hesitates in that type of way? Or are you more a person that deals with it on the other side, either aggressively, or in a moralistic way? You're right, you're wrong, you're nasty, you're evil, you shouldn't have said that, you're a nasty person. How do you deal with it in your life, and how does that impact your relationships, your life in general, how you feel in yourself, your mental health, and your business? Interesting thing to think about, isn't it? Interesting thing. Cool. Take care, guys. Bye.